time at the beginning to rant. All right. So the reality is that I tried this 3 times today, and I screwed it up every single time. It was just different slides that got screwed up, so I can't tell you which ones will be screwed up. But the bottom line is that after I'm done, and if you have questions, maybe Nick will show me how to get back to the slide to have the discussion with you. Okay, so here goes nothing. So what I want to talk about is OpenGov and open data, and a little bit of reality check based on my own experience and my background, and particularly in the local government arena. So when we look at open government, it's not new. We go right back to the times of Greece. That's where democracy started, and that's what we have to think about, that it's come a long way since then, but it is definitely not new. But what's changed? Well, the roots of OpenGov have happened in the areas of information legislation, freedom of information. It started in Sweden in 1766, and the Act of Canada was 1983, and more recently an Open Government Directive from President Obama a couple of years ago. So the core elements from my perspective are open data, citizen engagement, collaboration, and innovation. And I'll go into a little more detail about each of these. So when we look at open government, here's where I talked about before about the groups needing to understand each other. Government is actually quite complex. There's a lot of business processes and policies that go into providing public service. So what do we really need? We need to improve, and from the prior slide you saw that it was kind of government to citizens, one directional. What we need is kind of bi-directional and a community approach to the provision of public service. So what's the biggest elephant in the room? It's corporate culture. And it really doesn't matter whether it's government or private sector. It's still corporate culture, and that shock factor for moving from something that is now to something new is difficult. Now in open data, that's also not new, because here's a concept I put forward back in 1994. All right, so we're talking 17 years ago, and it's about data sharing from local to provincial to federal levels, and actually to a global level as well. So the reality check around open data from my perspective is, what's the business case? Show me the value. There's a need for leadership and policy, resources. If you're going to go into something new, that means you have to reallocate resources. So what's the opportunity? Here's an illustration of taking that concept in the 90s and bringing it to today, putting it in the cloud in something I call opendata.ca. This was proposed a couple of years ago. So it's government stuff happening, non-profits, it's coming from everywhere. The other element, one of the other core elements, is collaboration. All of us are smarter than one of us, and that's why groups like this really make things happen. And there are more knowledgeable people outside your organization than in. Now, in citizen engagement, the reality check here is that the Gov 2.0, Web 2.0, and social media policy is only sporadic in all levels of government. It's not consistent. And the communications resource is significant to be able to move that forward. And I really wanted to show this Ushahidi. I don't know how many are familiar, but it's something that was focused on Africa, but it's here now in Canada dealing with the flooding in Manitoba and Saskatchewan. Collaboration, it's really difficult to do. Collaboration runs everywhere from informal information sharing to actual legal agreements. And the higher up you get, the more difficult it is to make it happen really well. Innovation, bottom line, don't stifle it. There's a lot of great people in government, but they're being stifled. You want an ROI for everything. That's the problem. So when we look at innovation, there was something I put forward a couple of years ago called Service One, where it didn't matter where the request was coming from. It came into something in the cloud I called the Service Coordinator, which then went into an integrated service delivery engine that used common standards and processes. So where we want to move to is having good government, where the government is seen one view, because right now people don't know who does what, and quite frankly they don't care. So for us moving forward as a community, we all need to work together. It's not just government on its own, it's not just NGOs, it's not just private sector. it's all of us that create a community to collectively make this better. So one of the reality checks that I wanted to put forward is the whole question of sustainability. All right? So I'm concerned about applications being developed and not being sustained. I'm concerned about the application development community. And I'm concerned about a number of other things. But see, I missed that one, and now we're into the last slide, which says, long road, enjoy the drive, the destination is worth it. And with that, I just want to sign off with who I am. I'm a Gen Y boomer. I'm on Twitter. There's my slide share. And hats off to Open Halton and Open Hamilton for getting this group together. Thank you very much.